If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you're fine, want to have a good time, then like, comment, and subscribe. I wasn't going to do a video about this, you guys. I really wasn't, but I decided that I might as well. Because when I got my scores back, I was baffled. Absolutely baffled, because now I'm convinced someone had it out for me. So if you want to see why I feel this way, then continue to watch. As you guys know, I competed for the Ultimate International Miss Pageant again. This was my second year. I competed back in July. Yeah, so I got my scores back maybe like a couple months ago, and I really wasn't going to do a video about it, but I was very just distraught about what I saw, and I thought it'd be great to talk about it just in case any other contestants are feeling this way as well. As you know, I didn't place top 8. I thought that I did good enough to place top 8, but nevertheless, I didn't make the finalists. And that really hurt, and it kind of broke my spirit a little bit. If those who follow me on social media or follow me on any type of other platform other than YouTube, you'll know that I have retired from pageantry. So I put out my official retirement message through a video, as well as a post on social media to state why I retired. And it's not just based off one specific pageant system, it's based off of numerous pageant systems. But I will say after UIM concluded was when I felt the most, just disconnected from the industry, because I was just so confused and disheartened about what happened during the pageant. So as you guys know, I'm pretty sure some of you who follow me know that there have been a lot of talk about how some people were upset about the interview scores being announced during the optional award ceremony. Interview scores usually are announced regardless. It is announced particularly more in the final show when everything else has already been concluded. Judging has been concluded, and you can't change anything. So a lot of contestants were very upset about the fact that interview scores were announced during the optional competition before the completion of the rest of the preliminaries. We still had 2 preliminaries left to score. And a lot of people say that if they're going to announce it anyway, why do people get upset about it? It's not just particularly about them already going to announce it. It's about the fact that this is a way to discourage a lot of contestants. So the contestants who felt like they probably did strong in interview will feel like now that they're behind because they announced the top 3 people in interview. And everyone says in the pageant industry, a pageant is won and lost in the interview room. So for those who follow that mindset, and for those who take interviews very, very seriously, it can be very disheartening. It can be very hurtful to hear that they didn't make the top 3 based off their interview scores. And I would say that it can be very biased, and being biased is that a lot of people say that, you could also still place if you got, if you didn't get interviewed, but there only is a top 3 finalists. There's a top 8 semifinals, but there's a top 3 finalists. And in a lot of the circumstances that happened that weekend, a lot of the girls who placed top 3 in the interview competition actually won the top 3 spots in that age division. They did top 3 interview in each age division. And by my research and by the looks of it, 98% of those scores reflected in the final show. So I know personally, in a good 4 divisions, top 3 interviews were also the top 3 in the whole competition. So in my opinion, I didn't agree with them announcing the interview scores beforehand, and I still don't think it's a good idea, but they expressed at the pageant when they addressed it that it's their pageant, they can do what they want, and that is true. But for me personally, it's a big turnoff for me, confidence-wise, self-esteem-wise. And a lot of people already felt defeated before they even finished the rest of the competition. So I think it's, in my opinion, it's not a good idea, but that's just how I feel about it. Not necessarily because I didn't place top 3 interview, only because that I was one of those people that did feel a little discouraged about continuing the competition after seeing that I possibly didn't do well in interview. At least not knowing you're able to give your 100%, in my opinion, on stage still, because you have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea what's about to be scored and what the judges are going to say. But nevertheless, after I did receive my scores, I realized that my scores were pretty good. And I believe the only reason why I didn't place in the top 8 is because of one particular judge. Yes, one particular judge judged me the lowest out of all the judges. And if the scores are in order from each judge, then it's the same judge judging me low. The same one. And I really felt like I have to talk about it because it's not the first time I've seen this. I've had pageant friends post on Facebook their scores of one judge being extremely unfair and unjust towards them. I don't know whether it's a discriminatory thing. I don't know whether it's just a personal vendetta against me. I don't know, but it's just that I felt very confused on why one judge completely felt disconnected from the rest of the judges and did not particularly like me as a contestant. So we're going to go over my scores. I wasn't going to do optionals, but just so you have an idea of optionals, I didn't place in print model. And I had an average score of 8.2. The average out the whole competition is 8.5. My scores were 8.6, an 8, and another 8. There was 3 judges. For academic achievement, I actually got first runner-up in academic achievement. I don't really think it's basically a scoring type of situation. It's basically probably who has the highest GPA in the hardest classes, which is what they said in the description. Academic achievement, I got a 9.8, a 9, and a 9. And I had scored a 9.3 average, which is above average of the whole competition at a 9.2. So I did get first runner-up in academic achievement. There was no scores for the ultimate model competition I competed in. Casual wear, I also got first runner-up. My casual wear scores were a 10, a 9.2, and a 7.8. A little low, and I probably would have won if I didn't have such a low score from the 3rd judge. But average, I had a 9 out of 10, but it was still above average as an 8.7 at the entire competition. We move on to Photogenic. I didn't place in Photogenic as well. My scores were 8.2, 8, and a 7. It's pretty low, so I'm not surprised why I did not place. My average was 7.7, but the competition's average high score was 8.7, so didn't place in that. But here's when we get into the preliminary scores. So in the preliminary scores, they judge you not only just on your performance, but they also judge you on your outfit as 2 separate categories. So you have your preliminary fun fashion and your preliminary fun fashion attire. And that's for each of the preliminary competitions. So first, we're going to get into the preliminary fashion, the competition. So these are my scores: 9.2, 9.1, 8.9, and 8. The 5th judge scored me a 7. The lowest score was the 5th judge in all of my competition, and they scored me a 7 on my fun fashion. My comments were, "Would love to see more smiles. Need to smile more. Very unique outfit. Don't forget to smile." So I guess I was in model mode, which is why I decided to quit pageants, because modeling is just very natural for me. And I'm not a preppy, smiley-go-lucky person when I'm performing on stage. I love to be fierce, and that's just not what they were looking for. They weren't looking for fierce, and I understand that. My average score for that competition was an 8.4. And the average score for that competition in general is an 8.5. So I was 0.1 under average. And it all has, and I feel like that whole thing is to do with the 5th judge. But we're going to get to that 5th judge because I have a lot to say about this judge. My attire for fun fashion. I had a 9.5, a 9.1, an 8.9, an 8, and a 7. So I got the same scores for my actual performance. I got the same scores for my attire. There's no comments for that. The evening gown competition, I have gotten a 9.23, an 8.6, an 8.3, an 8, and a 7.5. Again, the 5th judge scored me the lowest at a 7.5. My average was an 8.3. The whole competition, the average was an 8.8. So I was a few points underneath the actual average. So I was like a 0.5, I think, 0.5 under the average score. Again, if the judge would have scored me higher, like the rest of if they were seeing what the rest of the judges were seeing, I wouldn't even have probably felt bad, because I probably would have placed top 8, considering that my scores are relatively good. And I thought I did incredibly terrible in interview, but I'm gonna get to interview scores in a second. My evening gown attire. Before we get to attire, I'm gonna go to the comments. It says, evening gown fits well. Of course, need to smile more. They like the color of my gown. They want me to smile more. They said I could have used more stage time. Sometimes I do agree with that. I don't know. I black out when I'm on stage, and I'm just like a freaking bunny, and I'm walking across the stage so fast. I don't know why. I try to slow down, but when in a moment, I just love being on stage, and I don't really know how long or how little I'm taking. And they said beautiful dress color. For my attire score, they scored me a 9.23, an 8.8, an 8.4, an 8, and a 7. Again, 7 from that 5th judge. So yes, we're not going to talk about that. My average of that competition was 8.3. The average of the whole entire competition was 8.8. We're going to be moving right along to my interview. Now, when I tell you my interview scores shocked me the most, good in a bad way. Good because I did so much better in interview that I didn't think I did that well. I thought I did terrible considering I didn't place top 3. But like you said, this is a mental thing. I said before, no, when they announced top 3, it made me feel very, very discouraged. My interview was just crappy. But I'm gonna get into these interview scores. So my interview scores was 9.8, 9.2, a 9, an 8.9, and an 8.5. This was my highest scoring competition, guys. My highest scoring competition was interview. I'm extremely excited because for those who've been following me for a while knows that interview was like one of my lowest scoring competitions when I first started Pageantry, and now it's like my highest scoring competition ever since I've been improving myself. My average for that competition was a 9.1. and the average for the entire competition was an 8.7. I was above average for interview, you guys. Above average. There's a lot of comments underneath this interview. And I find it very confusing because even though the 5th judge still scored me the lowest on interview, they still scored me an 8.5. So I guess they like my personality but don't like my performances. It's really interesting to me. I don't understand how that's the case, but I'm gonna read the comments. Love what you are doing for the modeling industry. Thank you. Don't ever change. That's beautiful. Poised, beautiful, confident, dedicated, very engaging, interesting, funny, quick on her feet. I am so happy that they said that because I wasn't nervous, but it's like, you know, sometimes my personality can come quite abrasive. So it's like when they say that to me, I feel like I really kind of it just melts my heart. For my attire. Now, they did not like my interview outfit, you guys. They didn't like it at all. You guys can go see my interview outfit on my pageant page. Follow me at the Natasha Coleman Ball. At the Natasha Coleman Ball. T-H-E-E, Natasha Coleman Ball. You can see my interview outfit. I've worn the same interview outfit for the last 3 pageants. So yeah, keep that in mind. I'm gonna read you comments. They did not like my outfit. Oh my gosh, I thought I was cute. Okay. Hem is very short. Buttons on the top are distracting and misaligned. Overall, earrings and shoes very pretty with the color of the pantsuit. Very fun outfit. Loved how real you were. They said I was very funny. Good eye contact. Remember to take a moment and a breath to think. They said I seemed a little shy and expressive. Had a great personality. One person didn't like the earrings and they wanted something more simple. They said I had a funny personality and I made them laugh. So when I read those comments, it made me feel a little bit better about my performance, but I still feel like it's unacceptable that the 5th judge scored me so low on my stage performances and everyone else scored me significantly higher than that judge. But I mean, what's done is done. My interview attire scores were a 9.8, 8.5, 8, 7.5, and a 7. Average 8.2, but the average of the competition was 8.6. So again, a below average for the entire competition. So that was my small little review of my scores and the gist of how I felt about my performance and, you know, little cons of the pageant in general. But overall, it's still a great system, great people. I wouldn't go back. It wouldn't necessarily make my top 3 systems. I feel like there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. I see a lot of potential there. Hopefully they do make some of the changes that a lot of people are talking about. Expenses wise, it got really, really expensive. Hope that changes within the next coming years. So there's a lot of things that can change in regards to the system. And I hope to see those changes in the future as I watch some of my other pageant systems possibly compete in the systems in the future. But other than that, that was my score review. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like me, if you like my content, if you want to see more of me, if you want to see more of my content, then please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that post notification bell so you get notified every single time I post. Thank you guys for watching. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Peace out, home slice.